Did you know that the intestine is one of the most important organs in the body? It's called the second brain, and no wonder. If it's not healthy, well cared for, and full of good organisms, infectious agents can enter your body and mind. However, it is possible to cleanse the gut, and in just 2 weeks. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. I'm going to start the story at the beginning, which is kind of obvious, but I'm going to start at the beginning. All digestion begins with chewing, tasting, and this is where satiety begins. At this point, the taste buds send out signals that food is coming. It's as if it's shouting to the rest of the digestive system to start preparing. Stomach, intestines, even the anus. The food passes through the esophagus and into the stomach. In the stomach, it goes through several breaks and into the small intestine, which is the thinnest. The small intestine is where nutrients are usually absorbed. Everything else becomes fecal cake or poop, or whatever you want to call it. When this whole process doesn't go as planned, that's when the problems start. And I'm not just talking about intestinal problems. In conventional medicine, you only look at the gut when you go to the doctor with a problem. Doctor, I'm constipated. Doctor, I have blood in my stool. Doctor, I'm feeling bloated. But there are problems that aren't directly in the intestine, but the cause is there. Look, many diseases that we acquire, many diseases that we develop originate in the intestine. Many are not caused by external agents. It's far from being a bacterium. No, sometimes the cause lies within us. And it all starts with inflammation of the gut. When your gut is inflamed, it usually stops being a barrier to things from the outside. It starts to lose its impermeability. So imagine you had a wound on your skin. Anything that hits that wound is going to be absorbed more by the body. It's the same with the gut. When you lose your gut's impermeability, your gut is no longer your body's protective barrier. Microbes, candida, toxins, gluten, food fragments, and many other things begin to enter. Everything enters your body through the intestine, and symptoms such as migraines, rhinitis, sinusitis, acne, psoriasis, allergies, arthritis, recurrent candidiasis, fluid retention, anxiety, and many other conditions begin to appear. Intestinal problems are common. To give you an idea, here in Brazil, 20 to 30% of people have some kind of bowel problem. And that's precisely why it's very important for you to clean out your intestines from time to time, twice a year. In other words, take off a bit of weight, take off a bit of the food that makes your gut feel dirty. I'm using a more popular term, and these changes in the gut can come from a number of things. I'll explain them to you quickly. The first is fecal incrustation, which is this. This is the famous dried out poop, disrupting the intestines. Let me explain a little. Imagine you've been driving in the mud. When you drive in the mud and then leave the car in the garage, you go and look under the car. How is it? That hard, dry clay, isn't it? The gut is the same. You start eating a lot of junk food, a lot of gluten, a lot of pasta, a lot of carbohydrates. It sticks to the bread mainly, it sticks to the intestine, it dries out and becomes that hard, dry mass.
Hey you guys, are you enjoying our content? Why I'm asking this? Because according to our channel analysis, 97% of the people who watch us are not subscribed to the channel. Do you believe this? So I sincerely ask, if you have liked our content, subscribe to our channel. Let's make this content reach everyone around the world, and let's make this a healthier world, okay? So subscribe our channel and God bless you.
White flour is great for this. It works like glue. And as if that weren't enough, people who eat this type of food generally ingest little fiber, little water, and are full of sugar, additives, dyes, and so on. And these people generally don't exercise. It's a package, you see. It's a package. If they don't exercise, they get clogged up with toxins, so there's no intestine that can take it. Then you add all this to stress, which is also a major villain. So if you're living like this, you'd better drink some passion fruit tea, start relaxing, and change your lifestyle. The second thing that happens in the intestine that disrupts its functioning is dysbiosis. Imagine that your gut has a lot of good bacteria and a lot of bad bacteria. When the bad ones take over the territory, you start to get dysbiosis. When the good ones are in the majority, you have eubiosis. It's like your neighborhood on your street. You have good neighbors and annoying neighbors. So when one starts to get worse, the atmosphere gets bad. When the bad neighbors start to be the majority, then your home, your neighborhood doesn't look good. The gut is the same. Now, why does this increase in bad bacteria happen? When you eat a lot of sugar, you have sugar in your gut, right? When you chew too little, when you use a lot of laxatives, antacids, when you use a lot of omeprazole, all this complicates your gut. Another thing that starts to complicate things is intestinal inflammation itself. It usually has a lot to do with stress and anxiety. People who are stressed, anxious, or worried often complicate their intestines. And all this can lead to candidiasis, chronic fatigue, autoimmune diseases such as lupus, arthritis, and rheumatoid diseases. Then comes what we've already talked about, intestinal hyperpermeability. Then you say, but Dayan, what is that? Intestinal hyperpermeability is when the intestine can no longer filter what should enter your body. Everything that gets in there gets in. And when this happens, celiac disease, arthritis, and asthma start to appear. Nobody imagines that asthma comes from the gut. It can. Asthma can come from emotions, but nobody talks about it. Repeated candidiasis, women with white vaginal discharge, always at the gynecologist treating them, taking antifungals. But no, we don't even talk about the intestines. Guys, even bad breath can come from the gut. So, if all this has to do with the gut, it's best to take care of it. What's more, when a person comes in complaining of stress, nervousness, anxiety, depression, rhinitis, sinusitis, eczema, acne, rapid and intense aging of the skin, joint pain, immunity problems, and many other conditions, it's very difficult for them not to have a problem with their gut. I hope you've understood a little about how the intestine works, but let's talk about cleansing it. The most important thing is to eat foods that help cleanse the intestines. Which foods? Probiotics, which are good bacteria, fiber, good fats like avocado, olive oil, nuts, plenty of water, which I always tell you about here. But I want to set you a challenge to cleanse your intestines in 15 days, which was the purpose of the video, okay? So write down what you should include in your diet during these 15 days. First of all, breakfast. I'd even like to take the word coffee out of this morning business, okay? To cleanse the intestines, you have to remove coffee. You'll eat a green apple in the morning for breakfast. You'll also drink lemon water, use kefir, and a detox juice. In this detox juice, you'll add leafy greens, spinach, you can add chayote, lemon, ginger, make a green juice at home without fruit, okay? Then you don't have to snack, okay? What do you eat for lunch? Quinoa. You're going to take rice out of your lunch for these 15 days. Quinoa is important to wash and then cook. Vegetables, preferably steamed, and a grilled fillet of chicken or fish. No red meat for these 2 weeks, okay? Then you spend the afternoon, you don't need a snack, and what do you have for dinner in the evening? Quinoa, again, vegetables, only this time, preferably raw. And in the same way, fish, chicken, and then you can also eat eggs. Now, for an extra tip, vitamin D is extremely important if you want your intestines to work properly. So go out in the sun every day, will you? So stay in the sun for 20 minutes. If you have skin problems, have a greater chance of skin cancer, are very white, then try not to go. In the midday break, go until 10 in the morning, after 4 in the afternoon, but go without sunscreen. Now avoid soy-based foods, sweets, red meat, coffee, as I've already mentioned, dairy products, fizzy drinks, and fruit juice. Oh, I couldn't forget bread. If you combine this kind of dietary guidance with physical exercise, I'm sure that after a fortnight you'll notice that you're doing much better. And I want to see you tell us afterwards, right here in the comments, how you've improved, what symptoms you've noticed have disappeared from your day-to-day life. Big hugs, live healthy, live with passion and with God in your heart. Bye, guys.